Hey YouTube, it's Terminator K2 here. Came up with a new deck profile. So it's going to be my Fluffle deck for October 2016. I recently used this at championships, but didn't do too well. Let's get started. First up, I run 3 Fluffle Dog, one of the best the shut-offs of the deck. You can when it's normal summoned or special summoned from the hand, you can search 1 Fluffle Monster or 1 Edge-Imp Sabers. So this is very good because it basically searches your entire engine out. And it's a good beat stick. Level 4 for Theory. Next is 3 Fluffle Bear. Fluffle Bear's effect is you can discard this card to set 1 Toy Vendor spell card directly from your deck. Or if this card's on the field, you contribute it to add 1 Polymerization from your graveyard back to your hand. You mainly use this card for its first effect to search Toy Vendor. So then it helps quite well, especially with Fluffle Wings, which I run 3 of. Fluffle Wings is, if this card is in your graveyard and you control a face-up Toy Vendor, you can banish this card along with another Fluffle Monster, draw a card, then destroy 1 Toy Vendor you control. Well, you can destroy 1 Toy Vendor you control. Draw another card. You can only use this 6 once per turn. So that's really good. So what you do is what I usually do is use Bear, set Toy Vendor, activate Toy Vendor, send Wings. Get my Toy Vendor effect. Then banish Wings with Bear. Draw 2 by destroying my Toy Vendor, and then Toy Vendor lets me search. Good. Moving on, 1 Fluffle Owl. When this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 Polymerization from your spell card from your deck to hand. And if this card's on the field, you can pay 500 life points, fusion summon using monsters you control as fusion material. You can only use 1 effect of Owl once per turn. So this is a good card for getting around anti-spell fragrance. So if you can't activate your Polymerization or search, you would summon her, this one, and then use its effect, pay 500 life points, and then just fusion summon. Very helpful. Next is a Fluffle Sheep. This card is, if you control a face-up Fluffle Monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you can return 1 other Fluffle Monster from your field to hand, special summon 1 Edge-Imp from your hand or grave. So this is good for getting your dog back in hand for another search later, and then get your Edge-Imp Chain or Sabers out of your graveyard or hand for fusion summoning if you have to. That's it for the Fluffles. Next is 3 Edge-Imp Chain. So if this card is sent from the field or hand to the graveyard, you can add 1 Fright for, I think it's just 1 Fright for a card from your deck to hand. And if this card's on the field, if this card in the field declares an attack, you can add a copy of it. You can add 1 Edge-Imp Chain from your deck to hand. So mainly you use using it for its search effect. So since get rid of it off Toy Vendor or something, then search out your Fright for a Fusion or Fright for a Factory. I don't play the weird Fright for a Monster, Fright for Lloyd, I think it's called. Yeah. Next I won 1 Edge-Imp Sabers. So this is about basically a Plague Spear of the deck. If it's in your graveyard, you can return 1 card from your hand to the top of your deck. If you do, special summon this card in defense position. So that's very good. It's good for choosing your top deck. So if you haven't used a Toy Vendor, you can send a Fluffle Monster from your hand to the top of your deck. Then use Toy to summon him. Then use Toy Vendor, and then you know it's a Fluffle, so you get a special. So it's very helpful. Next round, 3 King of the Swamp, all different, all from different packs. That's the only one I can find, but. If this card, you can discard this card to add 1 Polymerization spell card from your deck to hand, and this card can be used as a substitute for any fusion monster, as any fusion material monster, but the other material must be correct. So usually with my Fright for monsters, they mostly require either Edge-Imp Chain or Sabers, so I use that instead quite often, and it can be used in the graveyard to banish it with Fright for Fusion. Very helpful. It took me a long time to find these. And my last card, my last monster, is 1 Glow Up Bulb. So I use this for Nat Beast Blaze. Very helpful. So it's I can send, if this card's in my graveyard, I can send the top deck of my card to the grave, special summon this card in defense position. Or I think just special summon it. Yeah, just special summon it. Then each player can only use this effect once per duel. So, yeah, that's it for the monsters. I think it's 20 all up, 19 or 20. Going on to spells, I run triple Toy Vendor. So Toy Vendor is you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard, then draw one card from deck. Reveal it. If it is a Fluffle monster, you can special summon one monster from your hand, otherwise send it to the grave. So this card goes quite well with dog chain, so if you reveal a dog, you can special summon the dog, but since it just states monster, if you could play you could play a really high powered monster that could just be special summoned, run this, get the Toy Vendor effect off and special summon a high attack monster. It doesn't have to be the monster you revealed. And then if you have to discard it, sometimes it's helpful. So if you end up top decking a chain effect will go in your hand and got sent to grave. But most of the times when I use it, I always hit my Twin Twisters or my Raigeki. So it's very gambly. And then if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add one Fluffle or Edgimp Sabers from your deck to hand. So it's also got a dog effect when sent to grave, so it combos off well with Fluffle Wings. Next I run triple Twin Twister. So just spell and trap removal. Just helps get rid of anti-spell fragrance and stuff. Or really annoying floodgates. And I can also put my own Toy Vendor for searches. Or discard the Toy Vendor if it's in my hand. Going on to my fusion cards, I run 2 Polymerization, so just basic Polymerization, then 1 Fusion Substitute, which I quite like, so it's always treated as Polymerization, so I can search it with the Fluffle Owl and King of the Swamp. Then I can fusion summon using materials like monsters I control, so the monsters have to be on field for this card. But then if this card's in my graveyard, I can banish it, target 1 fusion monster in my graveyard, return that to the extra deck, then I get a draw card. So it's good to get back my dead fusions and to draw. Let's see, plus. But yeah, it's only really something you're in one of. Just since the monsters have to be on field. Run triple instant fusion, so I have, I think, 4 targets in my deck, my extra deck. So that's a Nord and 3 sheep. I'll get into my extra deck later. So that's just good card. 2 Frightful Fusion, so this is the Miracle Fusion of the deck, so it's banish the material needed for the Frightful Fusion. I can only activate it once per turn. So what I used to do is get a lot of Fluffles in my graveyard, banish them all and summon my Tiger or Wolf and just deal lots of damage. Then I run 1 Dark Fusion, so I special summon Dark Monster for my extra deck using materials from hand or field. That monster cannot be targeted for the rest of the turn. So it acts basically another poly, but protects my monsters for the turn. So it's good if your opponent's got a Kieran on board, or might have a Compulse or something. And then the last fusion card is Fright for a Factory. This card states, I can banish 1 fusion card, no, 1 polymerization spell card, or a card with fusion in its name, except a fusion weighs motion. Then fusion summon using monsters in my hand or field. So basically, it makes my polys all double their worth. So I activate poly, have that on field, banish the same poly, do 2 fusion summons with the 1 poly basically. Then if this card is sent from field to grave, I can add 1 banished Fright for a Fusion back to my hand. So if you have a Fright for a Fusion in grave with this on field, always banish the Fright for a Fusion first, just in case your opponent pops it. But yeah. Now for what's on my 1-ofs, I earn 1 Foolish Burial, just so I can send either the Glow Up Bulb or Sabers. 1 Allure of Darkness. I only run 1 just because I only have 4 targets. Well, I did have Sabers at 2, but I always found I never needed it, and I had enough draw power as well, so cut them both down to 1. It also let me make way for my new Raigeki, which I was happy about getting. So just good monster removal. Then that's it for the spells. Then for the traps, I run 1 Breakthrough Skill, just helps get rid of pesky, or stops pesky monsters. And then 1 Scolding, since these are the only 2 traps, so they're probably never on field at the same time. Yeah. So that's a 40 card deck in total. I'll move on to my extra deck. So, start things off, got the one Elder Entity Norden. Just use him special. Usually you'll be specially summoning back Dog for XZ plays. Because it's also a special thing. Since it's a Fury, I gotta make a good XZ card, which I'll show you later. Then I run triple Fright for Sheep, so the Amades of the deck basically. When this card attacks or is attacked, my opponent cannot activate cards or their effects until the end of the damage step. So this basically stops like Cosmos from banishing their ships to summon more things, and stops Crystal Wing from getting its attack boost, or I think other things from just other things from getting their effects off. And then if this card is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, I can special summon it from my graveyard with an extra 800 attack. So it's good for crashing into your opponent. If they have a monster that's less than 2800 but more than 2000, you crash into it, take bad damage, summon it back, kill their monster. They can't activate anything in response. I run 2 Frightful Tiger. So when this card is fusion summon, just make sheep, you need a chain and then a Fluffle monster. Before I forget. Frightful Tiger. Level 6 requires Edgem Sabers and 1 or more Fluffle monster. So when this card is fusion summoned, I can target cards on the field up to the number of materials used to summon him and destroy those targets. So you can make this guy get a lot of destruction. So you can target your opponent's entire field most of the time, and you're a toy vendor if you need to. And then again, all Fright Fur monsters on my field gain 300 attack for every Fright Fur and Fluffer monster on field. So he starts on the field with 22 attack, and I've managed to get him just, I think, 4,000? More than 4,000, easily. But you can only control one tiger, so you can't get you can't boost. I run 1 Fright Fur Wolf, so again he requires 1 Sabers and 1 or more Fluffer monsters. So the thing about him is you can't use King of the Swamp to make him because his states must be made with the above fusion material. And this guy's effect is he can attack up to the number of material used to summon him. So I summoned him once with like 6 material, so he could attack 6 times 2,000. And if you do that first turn, during your first turn, which is turn 2, you can just OTK your opponent really easily. Next I run triple Fright Fur Sabertooth. So it's the big boss monster, so he requires 1 Fright Fur Fusion monster, then 1 or more Fluffle and or Edgent monsters. So this guy can be made with basically any monster in your deck, well, except for the King of the Swamps and Glowbob. But when this card is special summons, you can target 1 Fright Fur Fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Then, if this card was made with 3 or more material, he cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, and all Fright Fur monsters you control gain 400 attack. So he starts on field with basically 2,800 attack, and he summons back the monster used to summon him. So usually I usually use what I usually go would be instant fusion into Fright Fur Sheep, since it's level 5. Then polymerize, fuse it with 2 Fluffle or Edgent monsters, summon this guy. He can be destroyed with 28 attack, and then Sheep comes back and can attack now. And then I've got basically a good field that my opponent can't beat over easily. That's it for the fusion monsters. I run 1 Synchro, so I run the 1 Nat Beast, which is Dog and Lot Ball. Just stop spells, stop pendulum, half-stop blue eyes. It's very helpful. And for my XZs, I run 1 Abyss Dweller, just BA, Cosmo, just lots of great graveyard annoyances. 1 Diguster Emerald, since I run 3 instant fusions, might as well run this so I can put back my Norden. And I got my hands on 1, so I was happy. Next is my Fairy Share Girl, so this is one of my favourite cards, so it requires 2 level 4 Fairy monsters, so that's why I said earlier you go Norden into Dog. That way, and once per turn you can detach material, draw a card. So it's basically just another draw engine. It's very helpful and very powerful. I once actually I forgot she was light, so I actually used light imprising mirror against a blue eyes player, and then went to activate her effect and forgot she was light, so I didn't get to draw. And my last EXE is once Castell, just field removal. Just gets really good stuff. That's it for my main extra deck. Now I'm going to go into my side deck, which I actually have for once. So I've got one Cyber Dragon Infinity. So the reason I run this is BA matchups. So, and the way I make it is by using EXE Universe. So this is a nice tick card, so I can target 2 EXE monsters on the field, just on the field in general, doesn't matter whose side, send them both to the graveyard, then special summon 1 EXE monster whose rank is equal to or 1 less than the combined total of the monsters I sent, or the rank, I mean. So I could send 2 level 3 or level 3 and 4 from my opponent's side of the field, then special summon Infinity. Just my opponent can't take damage for the rest of that turn. So you activate during their turn. Then I have an Infinity, and then I can steal their stuff. And negate their stuff. So it's very good. Now I run 2 Gamp Shields, just clearance, big monster clearance. So monster that can't be destroyed by battle card effects, I just tribute over it. Then I can destroy that later with either battle card effect. Now I run 2 Thunder Kings. So against Clipboard Demise, I think. Then just anything that adds lots of cards to their hand by searching. It stops me a lot, but I think it works. It's the positive that outweigh the negative, so it's better to run that than not run it. So I just stop my opponent searching, and then if they would special summon a monster, inherently I just negate it. Then one of my techs is Allied Justice Quarantine. So this card states, neither player can special summon light monsters, so I had this in here mainly for Blue Eyes. I wanted 2 of it, but I only have to find 1 so far. That's just good, you just summon that, have that on field, along with Light Imprising Mirror. My opponent can only summon their Blue Eyes monsters by normal summoning, so it shuts them down really easily, and just good to get off. Then I run 1 extra Fluffle Sheep, and 1 Fluffle Cat. So Cat I like, but it's just not good enough for the main deck. So it's this card. When this card is sent to the graveyard for a fusion summon, I can target 1 Polymerization in my graveyard, add it back to my hand. So it's good and it works for any type of fusion summon, but it's just not that good in this version of the deck. That's why it's undecided. Then I side my second Dark Fusion. 1 Dark Hole for just more board clearance. Then 1 Mask Restrict, because I was able to get my hands on 1 of them, just for Monarchs because they're still around, and the Domain Monarch still kills me a lot. And then for the final 2 cards, 2 Light Imprising Mirrors. Again for Blue Eyes. And late I found out it also helps against BA because Dante's are light, which I didn't realise that for a while. So that kind of stops them in their tracks as well. So yeah, that was my Fluffles for October 2016. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe.